Hush, chaotic ACC, don't say a word. Philip's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Philip's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring is brass, Philip's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that looking glass gets broke, Philip's gonna buy you a billy goat. And if that billy goat don't pull, 2027 ACC is no more. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you can, if you like the content or if you can survive the singing. Smash that like button. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost with a donation. Hit the $ where you make a comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments in the chat room, with your phone calls later in the show. We're going to be talking about Jim Knowles. I'm finally going to be talking about UCLA, Mick Cronin. A lot of people taking a lot of shots at the Buckeyes. Now, I'm okay with taking shots at the Ohio State Buckeyes, the evil Buckeyes. But I don't quite understand these shots that they are getting here in the last 48 hours. To me, they don't make a whole lot of sense. Let me go through that as well. And then, we are not in the Holy Smokes Theater. Not today. And I'm going to tell you why. But I just want to give... I wanted to give you a heads up. Much like I did on December 26, 2022, about the Florida State Seminoles. Today we are going to do the same thing with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Do we have a crystal ball? No. But, yeah. We are going to talk about the North Carolina Tar Heels. Do we have a lot of details? No, of course we don't. But again, this is a heads up. This is a type of stake in the ground episode that you are going to remember. Just like the family members, the PATC family members that have been with us since day one. You remember December 26, 2022. For those who are following me on X, you remember March 31st, 2022 about USC. You remember the hot bubble of action when it came to Colorado. You remember what we said about Washington and Oregon. And you remember when we said, no, nothing is happening. No, Florida State and Clemson, it ain't happening. June 15th of last year, we said nothing is happening. Petiti and Sankey walked out of the theater. We reported to you that Florida State and Clemson, as big as brands as they are, as valuable as they are, and they're going to get where they need to get to at some point because they're too valuable of brands not to get where they need to get to. But we said Big Ten and the SEC, they're not looking in that direction. And then it was reported on by Brett McMurphy and others 6 weeks later. We said that August 15th, 2024, nothing was going to happen. And it didn't. So we've been Dr. No at times. And I would look at our record. I think we've been pretty accurate. At times we've been Dr. Yes. On December 26, 2022, I came on here. I could not report everything that we were planning on reporting that day. But if you go back and watch that live show, we declared that Florida State was going to put a stake in the ground in the first quarter of 2024. We were 9 days off. It happened December 22nd, 2023. Also on that day, we said that Florida State was going to come out in the open in 60 days. And Mike Alford came out with a declaration with some statements in February of 2023. So, today we're going to give you a date. A date that you're going to want to put on your calendar and circle. We've been given this date. Now, again, if something, you know what, we are going to follow this. We are going to give you updates, just like in the Holy Smokes Theater. This is part of the Holy Smokes Theater. The drama, sort of, kind of, in regards to private equity invasion. It's all of it is connected in some way. But we've got new information. We've had new information for a couple of days. I did not want to come out right out of the chute, so I did not do a live show on Saturday, on Sunday, on Friday. We got it on Friday. I've been asking questions. I've got some questions answered. So we are gonna give you a North Carolina stake in the ground date deadline. That is the best way I can describe it. Specific enough, general enough, flexible but yet firm. But we are going to give you a date. And before I move off of this and go to other stories that I want to talk about, and then we're going to finish up with North Carolina. We have been saying here for months and months and months and months and months, the chatter behind the curtain, peek around the corner, the chatter behind the curtain, that February 1st of this, that's coming up in 4 or 5 days, is not going to be a big event. It's going to come and it's going to go. We've been saying that for months. I understand the arguments, or at least I did understand the arguments, saying that it is very important, Greg. If it doesn't happen by February 1st, this is going to happen. The grant of rights is only going to be for 2027, I get all that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. If you want to give me a call and say, but Greg, this is the reasons A, B, C, D, I will be happy to listen to you. It's not what ESPN thinks. It's not what the ACC thinks. So all I'm saying is that this drop deadline date of North Carolina, it doesn't have to do with February 1st. Not directly. And I've said this for probably over a year, or at least a year. Maybe not a year. 9 months, let's say. If something happens in February 1st, if something big happens, we at PATC will take the L at the beginning of the show. It's going to be the biggest L. The really only meaningful L we've ever taken on the show, to be honest. But I don't think February 1st, we'll see. But again, what I have been told over and 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 over again by everybody. I mean everybody. Everybody that I talk to. Everybody that I talk to. And I'm not going to be able to explain you. We've tried to do that, but I'm not going to go through the ACC bylaws and the commissioners, the rules, the power of the commissioner, and what does it take to be a material change. I'm just not going to go do that. I will let other college football YouTube channels go down that rabbit holes for the next 4 or 5 days. We did it. I did it. But I'm just telling you, everything that has been told to me is everything that is going to happen in regards to renewing this TV media package, whatever you want to call it, it's basically going to follow the precedent of what happened when the ACC took in Pittsburgh and Syracuse. ESPN doesn't believe the gore has to get ripped up. The ACC doesn't believe the gore gets ripped up. Other people do, but I'm just telling you, I do not. A lot of North Carolina expects there to be changes in the new media deal. There's going to be something new in it. This is not where North Carolina puts their stake in the ground. They do it later. So I just wanted to put that out there at the beginning of the monologue. We've got a whole lot. I've got some stuff to say about the quote unquote Ohio State Buckeye situation. There is no situation. The quote unquote UCLA situation, there is no situation. I do not understand it. But let's go. First of all, I want to do some, thank you so much, Carson. I do appreciate it. We are live. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity, Carson. I appreciate it. Heartbreak 25. Great. Please ignore Penn State hiring Knowles in your picks next year. I hear he's not that good. First of all, he's excellent. Second of all, Penn State, congratulations on your big hire. Obviously, the Nittany Lions are going all in, just like the Buckeyes did the year before, just like Michigan did the year before. I'm not too worried about what the Buckeyes are going to do for replacement. Penn State decided to give Jim Knowles a whole lot of money, and that is their right to do so. I am going to start off this show talking about the Knowles situation. I don't even think it's the situation, but we're going to start off our monologue discussing that. Heartbreak 25, and I might just have Penn State number 1 or number 2 in the PATC way too early top 25. Number 1 or number 2. I don't know which way yet. I do not know which way yet. Steel Austin, Preston from Greensboro, field turf. Pretty interesting. Field turf, back to grass. Bill Belichick, that's what he wanted. That's what he's going to get, and he may be getting a whole lot more. Preston from Greensboro, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Jose, you can lowball some of the people some of the time, but you can't lowball all the people all the time. You can all lowball me any day of the week. As long as you come on in, I do appreciate it. Stormy Cyclone is in the house. Healing, Florida. Matt Schnuck, Colorado State Rambling Rams. Tim W. is in the house. Jay Chapman, Bill G. Ooh, LSU. Ryan Brooks. Eric Phipps is here. Caleb Ramirez, CFB Plus, is in the house. John Dry, the Big Lubbock, the Walking Geek. Gerald Jones, Voice of an Angel. Good stuff, Greg. Appreciate it. An angel that has a very bad cold. Congestion. Pneumonia. I sound like a voice of an angel with pneumonia. Thank you, Jared Jones. Thank you for your super chat, for your generosity. I do appreciate it so very much. Morris Simmons is in the house. Nathan Campbell is here. Nitwit, great day to be a Nittany Lion. Kenneth Stromness, BYU Cougar, is in the house. Red Raider Laura Weiss is here. Daniel Gygax, Mr. Mountaineer, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Taytown Hawk. We now have 8 Jayhawk commits. MBM. Oh, Immaculate is in here. Holy smokes. Immaculate Mr. Hawkeye is in the house. Oklahoma State. Go Pokes. MBM is here. Who else? Jeff Crab Cakes in Football. Mr. Maryland Terrapin is in the house. All good. 720 is here. Ryan Dale and Knowles didn't get along. Been hearing some of that. They got along well enough for a national championship. It was well worth it. Expedition Greg, Connecticut fan. Jim Reese is in the house. Replica, Mr. Longhorns, Bob Swanger, Les Austin Jr., Maria Hernandez Garcia Flugar, the one who rules with an iron fist. Ryan Day force adjustments. I don't know how. This is what happens, right? Somebody leaves, goes to another team, and then, the Buckeyes want to devalue Knowles, and the Nittany Lions want to raise them up, and I'm sure, just my take, I'm sure Knowles did an excellent job, and I'm sure he'll do an excellent job at Penn State, and I'm guessing the Buckeyes are going to get an excellent defensive coordinator, and everything will be fine. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Joseph Lindley is in the house. North Carolina joining Florida State Clemson lawsuit. Do not know. Sean is here. Expedition Greg gives a gifted membership. O.T. Hicks Sr. was gifted a membership. Thank you, Mr. Buckeye Expedition Greg, for your generosity. O.T. Hicks Sr., Expedition Greg, both of you are hereby knighted. Cloak and Dagger, thank you for being members of the channel. Thank you so very much. O.T. Hicks Sr., when you get a moment, please say thank you to the generosity of Mr. Expedition Greg, whose corner is in the house. Okay, let's get to some of these stories here. Before we go back talking about North Carolina, whoa. Hold on. I'm going to have to fire my producer here. I made a mistake. Jimmy Austin gifted a gift membership. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. All good. 720. You've been gifted a membership because of the kindness of Jimmy Austin. Please say thank you to Jimmy when you get an opportunity. Both of you have been knighted. Cloak and Dagger. When you get an opportunity, all good. 720. Please go to our YouTube channel and check out our membership-only episodes. And please say thank you to Jimmy. I screwed up, but I can fix it. Hold on, everybody. Let's just put up this on the screen this way. Brett McMurphy, Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, was asked by school not to attend Buckeyes national title celebration yesterday while he deliberated his options, source said. Knowles' representation tried to reach a deal with Ohio State week before the title game and immediately after, but eventual offer was well below the competition, source said. Knowles signed a 3-year, $9.3 million deal with Penn State on Sunday. Now, you got to, right? You got it. Look, it's, that information came from the agent, obviously, and he's going to say that the Buckeyes went well below the competition and Penn State went above, and again, congratulations to Penn State, and here is Penn State officially announcing that defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, it's official. Welcome to Happy Valley. Welcome to Happy Valley. Here are my thoughts on that. one is, yes, congratulations to Penn State. The Nittany Lions has spent a whole lot of money retaining their top players. Drew Aller, their running backs, their safety, they have committed themselves. They are all in for 2025, and they should be. They've got a great opportunity. They've got a great opportunity to grab the brass ring and be Big Ten champions and national champions, and I might just predict them to do so. I mean, I predicted them to do it in 2023. Peek around the corner was way, way too soon on that. But I love Nick Singleton. I love Katron Allen. I love these guys. Drew Aller, he frustrates me, but he's got a whole lot of talent. Franklin, he hasn't quite broken through yet, but he's had a whole lot of good seasons. I know he gets ripped on all the time. His record against the top 5 in the country is really bad. Well, most people are bad when you're going against the top 5 teams in the country. Most records are bad. Now, his might be a little bit worse than the top guys, but whatever. So, first of all, I want to say that. Congratulations to Penn State. You've got your offensive coordinator, and now you've got your defensive coordinator. Now, I want to, just like Notre Dame, they got their offensive they got their defensive coordinator, Al Golden, and then they were able to get their defensive coordinator. I'm sorry. They were able to get their defensive coordinator, Al Golden, and then they got their offensive coordinator, Denbrock. Penn State, same thing. Offensive coordinator, now they got their defensive coordinator. They're all ready to go. I do not blame Penn State a bit for spending, $3.1 million. Whatever, it's, if you think you're that close, go for it. You've already got a bunch of money in, right? You've already got a bunch of money invested in this, just like the Buckeyes last year. But I don't think this is any any derogatory can be said about the Buckeyes' position here. Okay, Penn State went over the top and plucked Knowles from the Buckeyes. It happens. It's going to happen to everybody. If a team is willing to pay above market, of course this is above market. Now Jim Knowles has set the market. A little bit over $3 million a year, the highest paid defensive coordinator in the nation. If Penn State was willing to do that, okay. But the Buckeyes cannot, even though they're bringing all this money, and we're going to talk about this so-called deficit that they're running. I'm going to hit that next. Even the Buckeyes, even the Longhorns, even Alabama, they cannot have the highest paid offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive tackle. At some point, you say to yourself as a program, this is what is the value of that coach or player. And if somebody goes over the top, so be it. Notre Dame lost Al Golden. I mean, it's always going to happen. Coaches are leaving constantly. The players are leaving constantly. And the players, if one team pays more, now maybe you're paying too much. Maybe you're paying too much. Now, Jim Knowles, Penn State had an excellent defense last year, by the way. They couldn't make plays downfield with their passing game. They did not have a big play passing game, but they pretty much had everything else. And they're running it back. But it ain't like the Penn State defense was not good last year. Holy smokes. I say congratulations to Penn State, but I've seen a lot of comments. What's wrong with the Buckeyes? Why didn't they retain their defensive coordinator? I saw the same thing with Notre Dame where the NFL came a-knocking. And again, Notre Dame and Ohio State, they have all the opportunities in the world to make the correct hire. The Buckeyes are probably going to be fine. Probably, most likely. But you're going to see this, guys. Minnesota, Corey Heatherman. Minnesota just gave him a raise up to $1.2 million after 1 year of being a Power 4 defensive coordinator. He did an excellent job. Miami decided to go over the top. Okay, good luck, Heatherman. You'll probably do excellent. I mean, you're not going to be able to retain everybody. You're not going to be able to retain all your players. You're just not. Or if you do, like what Penn State is doing this year, you are going all in. Just like what the Buckeyes did last year. And the Buckeyes won a national championship. We'll see if Penn State can do the same next year. And let's talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. We got all these articles, all this reporting coming on through, right? Let me bump this up here. This is difficult to see. Ohio State reports athletic budget deficit of nearly $38 million from the 2024 fiscal year. Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch. And he goes through the reasons why. Okay? And you know what? I'll provide a link in the description box of the Columbus Dispatch article. You can read it if you want. Little bit lower ticket sales. We've had that throughout the country. Not in every spot, but a little bit lower ticket sales, inflation, severance payments. Ohio State did with Holtman and salaries and bonuses and all this. You can go through the article. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to go through the article. And I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't matter. Again, I'm reading comments in message boards and on X saying, what is going on with the Buckeyes? This is what happens when you spend all that money to win a national championship. Suddenly you're running deficits. Come on. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. Our donations are a little bit lower because some of that money's going to NIL, yes. But don't cry. Don't cry. The Buckeyes are just fine. Sometimes you've got a whole bunch of circumstances that lead you to deficit spending. Sometimes you have circumstances that leads you to huge revenue, profit. And again, let's take a look at the Buckeyes. USA Today, revenue and expenses. 2022, total revenue, $251 million. Expenses, $225. In 2021, 2021, $251 million in revenue. Expenses, $225. We're not going to do the pandemic, but 2019, $215 million, $233 million in revenue. Expenses, $215. I will provide a link in the description box below the video. The Buckeyes run revenue higher than expenses almost every single year. And they sort of do that, they do that by choice. A lot of times when you see revenues and expenses, a lot of times when you see that, you see the same number. Now, you didn't see it there for the Buckeyes, but for a lot of programs, athletic budgets, you see the same number of expenses, revenue to expenses. And you know why that is? Because when an athletic department has more revenue than expenses, they bump up the expenses to match the revenue, because that's the extra money they can put on to pay back their debt. That is their debt financing. The faster you can pay back a debt, the less money that you're going to owe on your facilities, on your football stadium, the bonds that you have to pay back. That is why you see a lot of the times expenses meeting up with the revenue. For the Buckeye case, a lot of times it doesn't. They have more revenue than expenses. So again, I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to pop the bubble of many. This is a non-story. Sometimes you see a school that way more revenue than expenses. Because this circuit, like Oregon a few years ago, way more revenue. But then they use that revenue in the next few years to pay back some expenses. It's bookkeeping. It's the Buckeyes, the Ohio State financial situation is just fine. In fact, it's spectacular. Even though the Buckeyes sponsor more sports than anybody, more student athletes, more scholarships, the Buckeyes financially are just fine. You're going to see a correction in the next couple of years. It's not like the situation that is going on in UCLA, right? UCLA is having big deficits, yearly deficits, and they had another big one. They just reported that. I'm going to pop up something here. Hold on. It's a different situation. It's deficit spending because they have a true deficit, yearly deficit that is going on. Hold on one second. And this gets to what I want to talk about is Mick Cronin, the UCLA basketball coach. Now you might be saying, Greg, this is a college football YouTube channel, the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country. Why are you talking about basketball? Well, I'm not going to talk about basketball. Except, no, they should not leave the Big Ten. I'm glad you came in the chat room and said that, John Dry. I do appreciate it. This, there's so many things I want to say about this. Mick Cronin, and again, this happened like a week ago, complaining about UCLA travel, talking about how they've had to go eastward a couple of times, and they've seen the Statue of Liberty, and I don't know what to tell you, Coach. I don't know what to tell you. except for this. Get used to it. Buckle up. We've all got our burdens to carry. All of us. All these athletic departments have some sort of burden to carry. Your burden, UCLA, you got to travel a whole lot. Yes, you do. And by the way, it's one of the reasons why I came on here day after day, week after week, saying that Oregon and Washington would become members of the Big Ten. When others said, well, if they would be, they would have already been members, Greg. But they're not. So they're not. No. Oregon and Washington, we're going to become members of the Big Ten. This is one of the reasons why. Just only one of the reasons why. Okay, you got to travel. I get it. It's a hardship. I get it. But I'm going to be honest with you guys and gals. This talk about it comes up all the time. With John Goodman, is that his name? The basketball announcer and these other guys. It should be only football that is part of realignment. But these other sports should be regional. Right? We hear that all the time. And when Mick Cronin complained about travel, everybody piled on once again and said, yeah. Let me be honest with everybody here. UCLA would not be a member of the Big Ten if it wasn't for their other sports. I said it at the time. I've said it forever. I'm going to say it today. The Big Ten is not giving up UCLA softball, UCLA basketball, UCLA women's basketball, UCLA baseball. They're not giving it up. They're not going to give it up. They're not going to give it up. Mick Cronin, if UCLA wants to walk away from the Big Ten, I think you would have to pay some sort of fine that there's no way that you can afford, but go for it. But UCLA was swimming in debt. They were swimming in despair. This reminds me a lot of the Rutgers, Maryland talk. Rutgers and Maryland was swimming in debt. And then the first couple of years in the Big Ten, they were getting loans from the Big Ten, and people kept talking about it. Look, Rutgers and Maryland, they should not be in the Big Ten. Rutgers is still running debt, by the way. But being in the Big Ten, of course, is better for Rutgers and Maryland. And Maryland has got their financial house just barely turned around right now. Compare Maryland to Virginia Tech. Go ahead. Compare Maryland's financial situation to a lot of the ACC schools. Do that now. Same thing with UCLA. The money hasn't even started coming in yet. The big money. UCLA, from day one, was a fully invested Big Ten member. From day one. In other words, they get all the Big Ten network money. They don't have a reduced revenue coming to them. In the first 5 or 6 years of the Big Ten network, the original Big Ten schools at that time didn't take any third-tier TV money. That money went back in to pay Fox Sports for their sugar daddy, because they gave us upfront money to build the network. Nebraska, when they came in, they took less money for years, 6 years. Rutgers, Maryland, the same. Oregon, Washington, the same. And with the Tier 1 money. But UCLA and USC got it all right out of the gate. They're the only two schools that got all the Big Ten money, a complete equal share. Way better than what you had with the Pac-12 network. Scheduling, the travel is going to be with us. It's just one of those things, UCLA. You sit there in Southern California. You've got some advantages. You got some disadvantages. Let me show you. This is UCLA Bruins men's basketball team. 5-4, right? In the Big Ten, 14-6 overall, 10-1 at home, 2-3 on the road. 2-3 on the road. They've only played 5 home games. 5 home games. And they're already, the head coach is already talking. They played at Maryland, they lost. They played at Rutgers, they lost. And now they've won 3 in a row. Okay? Yep, they've had to do some travel. The UCLA men's basketball program has had to travel. And he thinks maybe it's tough. Okay, it is tough. Let's take a look at the UCLA women's basketball. Oh, what's this? They're 8-0. They're 20-0. They're the number 1 team in the nation. 8 games at home, 7 on the road. Whooped Purdue, whooped Indiana. Went to Rutgers, whooped Rutgers, went to Maryland. Travel, and they are whooping everybody. So congratulations to the UCLA women's basketball program. So I just wanted to say a couple things, and then I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The travel is difficult. I get it. But for a head coach, 5 road games into the season. 5 in the first season. And you're barking out loud like that? Come on, man. While your women's team is 20-0, number 1 in the nation? Come on, man. Are you kidding me? UCLA is absolutely swimming in debt. PJ Fleck would probably be the head coach of the Bruins. He had interest. We told you. But you had no money. You had no money. You don't have any money. Someday you will have the money. You would not have had the money if you stayed in the Pac-12. We've all got hardships. But to complain about it, 5 games in, well, you let me know if I got it all wrong, PATC community. You let me know. You let me know if I got it all wrong. Okay. North Carolina. North Carolina. And then we'll get you phone calls. You can talk about college football, anything you want to talk about. The floor will be yours. Later this week, we are going to be doing our own PATC way too early top 25. We've gone over a couple of them that have been put out there. One by Pro Football Focus. We talked a little bit about the athletic top 25 way too early. We are going to be putting out our own, and that should be a fun show because you can tell me how wrong I got it. I'm going to want to hear what you guys got to say. I'm going to have a few shockers in there. No question about it. A lot of you are going to slide right off your chairs and let me and just rip on me, because I'm going to have a few shockers. No question about it. I have fallen in love with an SEC team. I have fallen in love with an ACC team. I have fallen in love with a Big 12 team. And I don't think any of you see it coming. So we shall get into that later this week. Tar Heel declaration date deadline. So we've been on this North Carolina thing for months. We were told by a North Carolina money perch that everything is being discussed. Everything. Everything. And we've gotten more confirmation of it. I'm talking everything. So if you are listening to a college football YouTube channel and they are talking about a possible crazy scenario that they've heard, it's probably true. We've heard about the North Carolina bringing up, dangling this dissolution theory. They want to have the same opportunities the ACC that the Big 12 has in regards to a possible an agreement when it comes to private equity. The ACC is keenly aware of North Carolina being pro-private equity. So much to the fact that the last few meetings has been all about this great compromise that is going to come about in the ACC when it comes to the next media deal. I'm going to say something here that is going to seem inconsistent. This is going to sound inconsistent. But this is what we've been told. And I know most of you disagree with me, and that is fine. That's cool. That's great. That's great for the show, because if you agreed with me, it would be boring. I'm giving you all a warning. I'm giving you all a heads up. A couple of things here. One is there is an absolute expectation that there is, and I'm going to use the word renewed. I don't even want to. There's going to be a renewal. ESPN's not dropping the content, the ACC content. These schools are going to agree to something. Enough of them. And it's going to look similar to what when the ACC brought in Pittsburgh and Syracuse. I know a lot of you disagree with me. I know a lot of you can go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is why it's not going to happen. I know a lot of you are very smart, and you can explain to me why the Gore will go away in 2027. But that's not what the chattering class believe, and that's not what North Carolina believes. So February 1st, PATC, it's going to come and go. So at some moment in time, this is where it's going to sound inconsistent. At some point in time, there's going to be some sort of agreement, some sort of announcement, some sort of renewal, and it's going to seem like everything is okay in ACC country. Kumbaya, kumbaya, kumbaya. But it's not. It's not. It's not good at all. It's not good at all. It's not good at all. It's not good at all because North Carolina is not good with this. They might be good with whatever's going on with this great compromise. Whatever. ACC, they're going to have the votes if they need a vote. They're going to be able to get done what they need to get done in the eyes of ESPN and ACC leadership. But it's not good with North Carolina. It ain't. And I have taken this information and I'm not getting any blowback. I got, there a twinkle in the eyes of people that I'm talking to. This is not going down. None of this appeases North Carolina. They are the most aggressive at private equity. They are the most aggressive when it comes to crazy talk. At least, there is a person with a title who may or may not be. There's a person with a title connected with North Carolina who's talking a lot. North Carolina is, there is a belief, and we've sort of speculated on this. We've talked about it, but there's a belief once it becomes even more apparent, and it will, supposedly, that's what people believe, by early spring, early summer, midsummer, when it becomes really apparent that the Florida State and Clemson court cases are not going anywhere. Florida State and Clemson are going to stick it out. The great compromise is not going to be able to get Florida State and Clemson out of the courtrooms. When the ACC is going to be stuck, when they see in the Big 12 making some move on private equity or some sort of different model to get themselves ready for the next media negotiations where they're going to have a foot in the old guard and the foot in the new guard, that North Carolina is going to be declaring something, a change, whether it's going to the Board of Governors with North Carolina State. Let me repeat that. Either by going to the Board of Governors with North Carolina State or something else, North Carolina is going to put a stake in the ground by August 1st of 2025. We were told by August 1st, 2025 on Friday. We at Peek Around the Corner, as you know, if you've been a member of this channel, we've been given a lot of dates, right? Which I like, by the way. Which I like because it's bleep or get off the pot. We've been given a lot of dates. And when we are given a date, a lot of times, most of the time, it comes true. Like the Clemson is the only one that was more than a little off, right? When we kept saying that the Clemson people were saying that Clemson is going to join Florida State in the talks, it happened a little bit later than we thought. But everything else, when we put a date on it, a hot bubble of action, it happens. It happens. What I'm trying to say is, whatever agreement they come to for this renewal, whatever you want to call it, February 1st is not the date. It's not. I'm sorry. It's 4 days away. It would be, it would be a great story to cover, but February 1st is not important. But something happening before August 1st. Now, what is that something? I don't think there is a conclusion to that. But what we've been told by people who are, remember our North Carolina history, I think has been really good, right? We told you about the hockey stadium before it was reported in public. We told you about them sliding to the SEC column. I mean, there are certain people that are very active in talking to us, and we appreciate it, and we protect them. Whether it be going to the courts themselves, and there's a lot of people in North Carolina who believe if they did, that would psychologically break the ACC. Psychologically break them. If they just did it along with what we're being told, again, let me go further down that pathway. When I pushed back and said, you mean go to the Board of Governors and get the okay to litigation against the ACC? North Carolina, who has ESPN all over this state, where the state of North Carolina makes all types of money. You're talking about North Carolina going to the Board of Governors and getting the right to litigate against the ACC. And what was told to me is that, yes, that is on the table, but it would be with North Carolina State. That's one. And of course, and there is that creation of a different conference to crush the conference, to dissolve the conference. And there is another possibility. And I'm going to bring this up because there's a lot of real serious, smart people talking about a lot of crazy stuff. Okay, so that's why, it's like, really? Yes. Really? Yes. There's another possibility. And I am going to say the word allegedly here. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the super chat. I called a month ago about the Belichick rumors and talked about growing up in Chapel Hill. Appreciate the Carolina info. Keep up the great work, my friend. Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much for your kindness, for your generosity. I do appreciate it so much. Sorry about the lateness of getting your post up here. Thank you so very much. We're not done with North Carolina. Dave Valinsky, do you think Notre Dame will renegotiate their contract with the ACC? They do not have a contract with the ACC. They have a contract with NBC, and they have an agreement with ESPN in regards to the ACC network. They should get out of that contract and move to the Big East for their other sports. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it, Mr. Golden Gopher. Don't think that's going to happen. I think Notre Dame is going to hang on as long as they possibly can to the independence. That is a story. North Carolina is going to have a direct influence on what Notre Dame does in the future. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. There is another possibility. Allegedly. Allegedly. This is not the chalk. I don't know what the chalk is, but this ain't it. This is not it. But August 1st, North Carolina is going to have their stake in the ground. Another possibility is North Carolina gets in those same talks with the ACC that Clemson was having about, can we talk? Can we come to an agreement? Can we talk about our membership? It doesn't get leaked. Allegedly. It doesn't get leaked. Let's just talk. You don't sue me for talking to you. We just talk about our membership. ACC writes something up, allegedly, saying, okay, basically the same plan that they had with Clemson, but then Clemson jumped out of that. They did not sign that agreement. Clemson went to the courts and sued the ACC. Let's say allegedly the ACC writes that up and allegedly North Carolina signs it. And what that does allegedly is North Carolina now is in discussions to say, what will it take? What will it take? And the ACC will say, well, we can't lose you, because if you lose you, we lose the conference. And the ACC says, you got to come up with a number. You got to come up with a number. You got to come up with a number. Or we will file that suit with another university, North Carolina State, allegedly. Playing volleyball, playing leverage, playing the game with the ACC in secret, allegedly. ACC comes up with some astronomical number. And then North Carolina turns its head to private equity. All that is allegedly. We've had two serious people talk about that scenario. This is how much North Carolina knows they're not going to be appeased by this grand deal that's about to happen, and everyone's going to be singing Kumbaya. It's not going to be good enough. North Carolina went all in to get Bill Belichick. They're spending all this money. They know that this year, this football season, there's going to be more eyes on North Carolina football than ever before. Just because they went all in on Bill Belichick. All in on Bill Belichick. This is their optimum time for leverage. This is it. Not only that, but because of Bill Belichick and possibly, allegedly, connections that he may have, there may be some other investments ready to come on in. But for that money to come on in, North Carolina's got to get out of the ACC, the current shadow, because the gulf is just too wide. And they don't want to be on the wrong side of it. They are determined to get on the opposite side of it, and they might have allegedly told everybody connected to Bill Belichick that this is what they're looking for. I'm going to end it because we are going to get a lot more on this in the months ahead. Same with the private equity stuff, right? Same with private equity. Private equity invasion. It's all connected. But now we've got a date. We've got a date. We've got a date. They may not be waiting to August 1st. I said by August 1st. Thank you, Daniel Gorby, for your super chat. And let me talk about the date for a moment. Once again, let me talk about the date. Daniel Gorby, thank you. Why is UNC waiting until August 1st? Did I miss something? They might not wait till August 1st. I said by August 1st. Let me talk to you about the date. Thank you, Daniel Gorby, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Kerry Knowles, kind of funny. Everybody thought Florida State was wrong for wanting to get out first. Kerry, Mr. Seminole, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Let me talk about the date. It's by August 1st, not on August 1st. Number one. Number two, when we did a live show, on December 26, 2022, and out of nowhere, we said, look, Florida State is going to put their stake in the ground in the first quarter of 2024. We had the Florida State money perch. We had the Clemson money perch. We had all this. We had a whole bunch of information to where I could just say that. And obviously I can't tell the future, but I could give you a great peek around the corner because we had the information. And I got raked over the coals on that. I know there was a lot of Florida State insiders and people saying what's going to happen before that, or it's not going to, whatever it was. That's all cool. I'm glad. I'm glad people disagree with me, but we know we had it. We had the date. We had the time range. And then Florida State got screwed out of the playoffs, and then Florida State filed on December 22nd. And then later on, there was reports. You can Google it. That came out publicly that Florida State said, yeah, we moved up the date because we were planning on doing it in January, the first quarter of 24. We had that information. That was a long-term plan that Florida State laid out. Okay? This is not something where you get up in the morning and say, Florida State had a plan. They had a plan, and they followed through on it. And then they went a little early. And the ACC knew that Florida State had a plan. They were all ready. And they were able to sue Florida State the day before. You know all that story. The ACC knew that they were in trouble with Florida State. The ACC knew that they were in trouble with Clemson. This was not a secret to anybody. It's not a secret to anybody that the ACC is in trouble with North Carolina. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. It's not. I mean, North Carolina's not even playing nice anymore. They're not. I mean, forget about them not voting to sue Florida State. Forget about North Carolina not voting to sue Clemson. Forget about North Carolina not voting for expansion. Forget about all that. It's since then. North Carolina is rattling the cages. And okay, so getting back to the dates. Excuse me. I apologize. Just like we knew the date range of the first quarter 24, that was it. And we had that date over a year out. Actually, yeah, a year. It's the same reason we know the date by August 1st. North Carolina has all the intentions in the world to say, no, this ends We declare that this isn't good enough for us. This current ACC is not going to work. It's going to happen by August 1st. What we don't know is how. We don't know what lever North Carolina is going to pull or push. We don't know. We don't know. And they might not know. They probably have a strong idea, but I don't know. But the date is important because the date, well, I might have to wait. I might have to wait for the next live show, the show after that, or sometime here soon to get even more detail about the date. But the date is important. Like, they want to send a strong message. And they want to send some of the strong messages to other parties. The date's important. By August 1st, before the start of the next college football season, before the start of, at the beginning of August camp, maybe after, a couple of days after the ACC media days. By August 1st. North Carolina is going to put a stake in the ground. You want to go back and watch the December 26, 2022 live show? Go ahead. I was raked over the coals. So we're going to be raked over the coals again, but I am willing to, North Carolina is going to take some action. And when they take action, it's going to be a psychological, I don't know. We shall see. I am going to take your phone calls. You can talk about anything in college football. You can go ahead and disagree with me. Let me know that the Buckeyes are in trouble without Jim Knowles. You can tell me what team I should fall in love with in the SEC, in the Big Ten, and the ACC. I've already fallen in love with some of these. And it ain't going to be like North Carolina State last year, where I doomed them because I fell in love with them. Not this year, baby. Not this year. If I fall in love with your squad, you're going to the conference championship game. I guarantee it. Greg the Gold. I guarantee it. Yeah, right. Okay, let's open up the phone line. Thank you, Leslie Hill. I do appreciate your super chat. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Let's open up the phone lines. Let's open it up. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Call anything you want in college football.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing well. Did you have a good weekend, Super Bowl weekend? Conference championship weekend there?
The little general and I, we watched parts of both games. I did not sit and watch the entire of either game. I don't know. I'm congratulations to the Chiefs and the Eagles. Well deserved. I'm pretty much bored with those two teams. Especially the Chiefs. Nothing against them. They deserve it. That they've been the best team forever. But I am pretty much bored with it. But go ahead, sir.
I join you in that one. But we'll take 2 weeks off and then watch the game. I think we were talking about, I don't know, maybe it was 6 weeks ago when I brought up to you about the hypothetical of what if one team, and in this case I'll call UNC and NC State one team. But what if one team cracks the egg? And you said, well, yeah, that could occur, but it wouldn't financially behoove them or the private equity firm as much as if an entire conference did it.
Yeah.
But it was still speculation, and the conclusion I think we agreed on was that once one team did it, regardless of who it was, that would set off the seismic shift in college football that would push others to do the same or greater.
Yeah. And, again, don't know how North Carolina is going to do this, but whatever they do, we believe they're going to step out, okay? Step out as in, okay, ACC, ESPN. When they do it, there might be this, huge psychological situation going on in the ACC. If you got North Carolina doing it, holy smokes.
Well, Florida State and Clemson are going to want to do it. Yeah. Now we know it can be done. It's just a matter of what the number is.
Yeah.
Because that's really what UNC is saying. The way you described it, allegedly.
Yes.
Was that they were giving him an ultimatum? Give me a number, or we'll go without a number.
Or we'll get a number. Like we'll get it. Yeah. You give us a number because we're going to get a number from somewhere else that, they're like, yeah, they're going to.
But that's the same theory. That's the same theory, the same principle that Florida State and Clemson have been working on.
Yes.
Give me a number and let me out.
Yeah, and I think North Carolina is going to bank on that. Now again, this is no offense to Florida State and Clemson, two of the biggest football brands by far in the conference, most valuable brands. But I think if North Carolina feels if they did it, that they could get the ACC to bend the knee, because it would be a psychological break for the ACC when you got North Carolina doing it.
Right, and once that psychological break takes place,
yes,
then the Clemson and FSU are free to follow.
Yes, I think their position gets stronger. Yeah,
and really, what the power behind UNC's play isn't UNC or UNC and tag team Wolfpack. It's private equity money. That's where their power comes from.
And the connections, and also there's other. See, I'm having stuff explained to me, but I still don't quite understand it. But also, there's also other money besides the big private equity deals that could be available to North Carolina. Some sort of private investment that's on a different scale. But we don't have to talk about that right now. But yeah, there's money out there. It wants to come in, and I think North Carolina is going to say yes to it all. But go ahead, sir.
Well, no, that's we're getting close to the end. I guess my point being is, if UNC can do this, or together with the Wolfpack, other schools can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They can.
Yeah.
Because there's a number to get out. Everybody's got a number. Of course, you have to have a destination once you get out, or a plan. And I'm sure UNC's got a plan, right? After they get out.
If they don't have a plan right now, they're going to have a plan before they put the stake in the ground. But, Florida State, Clemson, to be all honest with you, they didn't really have a plan. But they did not have a destination. They filed that suit without a destination.
That's what I mean by a plan.
Yeah. But North Carolina,
they
know they're going to have great opportunities out there.
They know they've got a destination, don't they, Greg?
Yeah. They got a couple of them. Yeah.
Thanks for the call. Let me call.
You got it. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Great call once again, sir. Beautiful. There were other stories out there that I did not get to because I haven't had a live show in a while. But let me put this one up. We're talking about defensive coordinators. Oh, we got something with the phone here. I don't know if I did not pick up the phone on somebody. Give me a call back. Another defensive coordinator situation. Tennessee defensive coordinator Tim Banks signs a 3-year new deal with the Tennessee Volunteers. Defensive coordinator Tim Banks, $2.15 million, starting annually in 2025. Look, Tennessee's defense, pretty good last year. And if you check what Tennessee has done under Mr. Banks, way better than they've been doing for the last 10 years without him. However, again, Tennessee's offensive line.
Call from
CFB Plus.
CFB Plus, go ahead, sir. Thanks for calling. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greg. I guess I have a couple questions, and it kind of revolves around what is the end game plan here? And because it sounds like the ACC is in hot water, and if North Carolina turns on the ACC, is the conference really salvageable? Now, I don't think they will completely dissolve. It will probably be something like what the Pac-12 is currently. But for all intents and purposes, is the ACC a sinking ship? Or is it not? Does North Carolina get the money they need to stay in the conference, and they continue for however long that's sustainable? And if North Carolina, and this is kind of a second question, but if North Carolina, if they want to pursue private equity, how does that impact their potential chances at membership in either the SEC or Big Ten, where both those conferences have been a little hesitant and reluctant to really dive into that?
I don't think it would affect UNC's ability to get into the SEC or the Big Ten. And again, what I've been told may not turn out to be true, but I've been told that these private equity offers, not when it comes to Super League stuff, but when it comes to conference level stuff, there's a termination date on the deal. Right? And then if there's another one, then there's a start date and a termination on another deal. So again, it all depends on how the deal is structured. Are they stuck? Does the deal only happen, for example? Now this is not going to be the case, but this is an example. Does the private equity deal at a conference level only happens if the private equity says, well, if we're going to do this, you've got to extend the grant of rights, but that's not going to happen. But
yeah. Well, I didn't know if North Carolina goes in at a school-wide private equity, that the other conferences are a little wary of that and don't really.
Possibly, but I don't think that's going to be I'm speculating here. I don't think that's a deal breaker because it's North Carolina. To be honest with you. Now, what is the end game? For North Carolina, because I'm focusing on that because I've had so many conversations with, I would say, if I had to give a number of serious people that I've had conversations about North Carolina over the last 3 months, I would put the number at about 7 to 8 people. And 3 of them being really, really in the know about North Carolina. And the North Carolina is extremely negative about ACC's future. And of course they know ACC. I mean, they're sort of the headstone of the ACC. They're sort of the, old tobacco road for all those decades. And there's a faction at North Carolina that's CFB Plus that still wants the ACC to stay together, but their leadership, when it comes to money and cents, when it comes to the dollar numbers, it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work if they remain in the ACC. It doesn't work for what they want to do and expect to do, and to keep all those sports sponsored teams, and they don't want to cut. This is North Carolina, man. This is North Carolina basketball program. They cannot be $35-40 million behind the SEC basketball. They're falling behind the SEC basketball programs. They're going to fall behind the Big 12 if the Big 12 can act on some deals in front of them, and ACC can't because of what's going on. North Carolina is very negative about their situation. Very negative. It's not just about them voting against this expansion. It's not just about them voting not to sue Florida State and Clemson. It's beyond that. They're not feeling good. And that's why CFB Plus, and I'll end it and I'll let you finish it off here. That is why when we have this ACC kumbaya moment here in the next few days or within the next month on the renewal deal, it's not really kumbaya, at least from North Carolina's perspective. But go ahead, sir.
I think that's about it. Now, with the deal, it's going to be expensive for all parties to get out unless it fully dissolves.
What was that again?
If they're re-signing this deal, which is to be expected, it's going to be expensive for members to get out unless the dissolution theory happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the renewal. I'm calling it the renewal deal. I don't know what else.
Whatever it is.
I don't think it's going to add on. It may not add on more expense. It's not going to add on more years to the gore.
No, but
that's not.
Florida State and Clemson right now, if they were to buy their way out, would be about $570 million each, and I'm assuming that's going to be roughly the same.
I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out then.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the show. And that's all.
Appreciate it, my man. Thank you. Beautiful.
from
BJ.
BJ, can you hold on for 1 minute, please?
Yes, sir.
Hold on. I gotta clean something up here. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Okay, let me do something here real quick. Nope, don't want that. I don't want that. I do want that. Sorry about this, BJ. I gotta clean something up here, else it's gonna.
No worries.
It's gonna destroy the show.
Sounded like you was ordering pizza.
Okay, hold on. Okay, all right. Go ahead, BJ. Thanks for your patience. The floor is yours.
As always, Greg, appreciate you allowing me to speak on your platform, and happy Monday. Thanks for getting the scoop, and as you always do, you bring food to the table. But with that being said, mind you, I like to think through things, and when things don't make sense to me, I don't mind speaking on it. What doesn't make sense to me, and maybe it's not meant for it to make sense to me, but if North Carolina nothing has changed in the ACC from the time Florida State and Clemson, did their thing and won it out till today, right? Nothing has changed from the structure.
Yes, things have changed.
What has changed?
Okay. Number one, great comment though. Great comment, because it opens up a line of. First of all, BJ, before I get there, Kerry Knowles, yet North Carolina was late to the game. They should have joined Florida State and Clemson in the beginning. They really couldn't, and they still might not be able to do it later on. There's a lot more going on at North Carolina. They don't have the freedom like Florida State and Clemson, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you, Kerry Knowles, Mr. Seminoles, once again for your super chat, for your generosity, for your support. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Kerry Knowles. BJ, a couple things. One is these court cases that Florida State and Clemson are in which North Carolina did not vote to sue, did not vote to give the ACC the ability to sue both those universities, even though they did. These court cases have gone on. They're going to be going on for a lot longer. I mean, they're going to be going on forever. The reality has set in on that. But the bigger point is, the biggest change is the money that's sitting outside of the room is sitting there. They're having conversations all the time. These schools are having conversations all the time. So North Carolina. That money is here. It wasn't here 2 years ago. It wasn't here even last year. It's here now. Big money is sitting there. Opportunity is sitting there. In fact, Florida State and Clemson, they have more leverage now than they ever thought they would by being in the courts to grind the ACC wheels, because that has given the Big 12 an opportunity to have an option that the ACC doesn't have. To take action or not take action. They actually have a choice, because their conference is not suing, the schools are not suing each other. They're a lot more stable. Private equity likes stability. Brett Yormark's been able to be way more aggressive than Phillips. So the landscape has changed since Florida State filed suit and the ACC filed suit against them. Go ahead.
I got you. I would beg to differ for a few reasons. So if North Carolina is you can't sign, you're going to sign a deal, or allegedly sign this upcoming extension, or whatever you want to call it, depending on what side of the table you're on. They call it different things. To commit yourself to a conference, and then immediately after that, go to the conference and want out. So
who says
to me,
they're
that
going to
doesn't
vote
make.
for the? Who says they're going to vote for the? However, this renewal gets done, North Carolina can't stop it.
According to Jim Phillips, you can't vote on it. It's an extension or whatever. That's what I mean by depending on what side of the table you're on.
Yeah.
Florida State calls it a new deal. AC calls it the same deal, just a look-in or whatever you want to call it. But the reason why I said it doesn't matter, if you're North Carolina and you want out of the ACC, you're going to pay hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You're not going to have that same amount of money available immediately for one team, for one. And on top of that, let's say North Carolina does get a private equity deal. I don't think the Big Ten nor the SEC will allow one team to have some kind of financial arrangement and the other teams don't. It's going to be a conference-wide arrangement. That's why Texas, part of the reason why Texas wasn't allowed to keep the Longhorn Network when they joined the SEC, according to reports. So I don't see North Carolina getting out of the ACC, getting this private equity deal, and then joining a conference. I do not see that happening whatsoever. Now, if they were to do that and join some kind of other conference with Florida State and 6 other teams, maybe. But I don't see them having a sweetheart deal just for North Carolina, then joining the Power 2.
Sure.
And
you might be right. That was just one of the options that are being talked about among, and they're all going to have their pros and cons. And there is a lot of cons to that one. No question about it.
And here's the thing, North Carolina. For those who don't know North Carolina, it is an amazing school. Nobody thinks more highly of North Carolina than North Carolina. I think so. Them joining a conference and being one of many, it will take a hard pill to swallow for the folks in Tar Heel Blue. However, and on top of that, and I'll say this and I'll get off your line, Greg. What this has taught me, and I've already known this, it's amazing how when Florida State does it, and they're honest up front, no backhanded deals, right? And they're just raked over the coals for it. And Clemson had backyard conversations or back deal conversations with the ACC, and allegedly, according to the ACC, Clemson snaked them. They had an agreement, like a handshake, not to sue each other. So, and North Carolina, they kind of, played a role where they were playing both sides for the longest of times. Now they're not playing nice, but North Carolina is not looked at in the same light as a Florida State. And I think what Florida State did was more honorable. I don't like this deal. We have a disagreement. Let's take it to the courts. There was no backhand deals, in my opinion. And with that being said, I don't care what North Carolina does. I think wherever North Carolina goes, they're going to be an amazing asset to wherever conference, right? With ESPN and being the SEC network being in Charlotte, ESPN having a lot of work in Charlotte, North Carolina, or ESPN heads being closely associated graduates of UNC, I can see North Carolina going to SC, and that's fine. They're going to be all right. But the notion that there's this psychological damage to the ACC, I don't believe in that. I think the psychological damage is that the ACC won't have a home court advantage in the courts in North Carolina. That's the only damage. That was the ACC's only leg up, is they filed in North Carolina. UNC is in North Carolina, and they have 4 schools in North Carolina. If the head school in North Carolina thinks the deal is a fraudulent deal, the leg up that the ACC had in North Carolina will be gone. And if anything, that's a psychological kind of hit that the ACC would take. But I don't think schools are freaking worried about North Carolina, what North Carolina does. I really don't think, because at the end of the day, there's a deal that's lasting into 2036. If that deal is broken and teams are harmed financially, the Syracuses of the world, the Louisvilles of the world, they can go to court and get some kind of compensatory damages for that contract. So I don't see any kind of psychological damage, because teams will get paid no matter what, whether they're in the ACC, the Big Ten, or the SEC, in my opinion. But, Greg, thank you very much for allowing me to speak on your platform. And as always, stay blessed.
You got it. Appreciate the phone call, my man. Thanks. Call again, sir. One more, and another thing has changed since Florida State and Clemson has filed. The House versus NCAA settlement and the revenue share to the student athletes and everything that's going on with the possible carve out in Congress. One more thing I want to say real quick.
Call from
Replica.
Replica, can you hold on for just one moment? I just want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
One more ingredient to all this, and I jumped out ahead of this. Oh, I don't know. I don't know when we talked about it during the 2024. I talked about it a couple times, but there is this big, huge elephant that is sitting in the middle of the room, in which university presidents talk about constantly, and us football fans, basketball fans, soccer fans, hockey fans, we don't talk about it at all. But the presidents are talking about it. And that is the student apocalypse. The apocalypse has now begun. All the numbers tell the same story. The demographics. The college student demographics is going to drop like a rock starting now, 2025. And it gets worse every year percentage-wise. So schools, even the biggest ones, want to plan for that drop. And they got to get out in front of it. And that means more international students. That means students wherever they can get them. That means universities who can attract international students are going to be very more valuable. And I'm not saying, but I'm saying there is going to be a thirst. There is going to be a thirst. I know people out there saying ESPN, that the SEC does not have to expand again because they're the most powerful, valuable conference, athletic conference in the country. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But they're going to have a big thirst. They already have it. When it can happen, when the opportunity is available to them, they are going to go hard and strong at North Carolina and Virginia. Period. And those two schools know it. I think I lost Replica. Replica, give us a call. Hopefully I did not lose everybody. Replica, give me a call. I'm going to put you on the line right away, sir. I do apologize. I had to talk about that as well. Hold on.
call from
Replica, I apologize for keeping you holding for so long. Sorry, my man. The floor is yours.
No worries. I accidentally hung up. Do I sound good right now? I'm driving.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
All right. Thanks for taking my call. Now, I wanted to get into this theory that you mentioned towards the end of the monologue about UNC possibly entering the same conversation that Clemson had with the ACC. And I wanted to ask the hypothetical.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Replica.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time picking up every word.
Hold on just a second. How about now?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it a shot.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about this theory of North Carolina possibly entering conversation with ACC.
Yeah.
Let's say they come to an agreement on a settlement number, and they're able to have those conversations with other conferences, presumably the Big and SEC. Would coming to that settlement allow them to take off the Wolfpack backpack, as Wild Youth likes to call it? That obligation that they have to act on the best interest of NC State as well. If they come to a high enough settlement number, would that free them of that obligation?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, that obligation is the obligation of the Board of Governors. The Board of Governors is obligated to look for the best interest of North Carolina State. And that obligation is not going to change. The only thing that we've been told, now we were told all this on Friday. We talked about it. I've been having discussions through the weekend. I did not want to do a live show until I had about as much as I could get for right now. The only thing we were told on when it comes to North Carolina State is that North Carolina, they're going to put their stake in the ground. They're going to have some sort of declaration. It's going to happen by August 1st of this year. And if they do go to the Board of Governors for any support, any needed support, when it comes to putting the stake in the ground, if it comes to litigation or anything else, they're bringing North Carolina State with them. It's not going to be a contest between the two. It's not going to be the Wolfpack trying to drag them down. It ain't going to be no political knives back and forth. If North Carolina has to go to the Board of Governors for whatever support in this endeavor to put whatever stake in the ground that it is, it will be bringing North Carolina State with them. And what all that entails, I do not know. It depends on what type of stake they put in the ground.
Okay. So I have a theory just based off of what you said today. It seems like they're going to be able to come to an agreement on the contract situation regardless of what specific members would agree or not agree to it. Kind of similar to the decision they came to ask Stanford, Cal, and SMU, where it wasn't unanimous, but they had the votes. That's what it sounds like the situation is based off of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, it seems like their play would be to use private equity as a means to come up with settlement money. And and this is just me thinking based off of what you said. I'm not saying that you said this, but it sounds like that's what the private equity, if they're going to pursue it on the school level, it seems like that's what the money would be for, to come up with buyout money. And I believe their leverage would be, well, hey, if you don't come to this agreement, we'll get in the courts, or even worse, we may start trying to convince other ACC members to dissolve the conference. That's what it seems like their stand would be, like putting their flag in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see what other leverage they really have other than to try to force their way out with a big buyout number, or to convince the other members to just dissolve the conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it comes to that situation, the ACC may have to play ball, because think about it, the ACC has a direct influence on the state's economy. Like, that is, they get so much business from being in the ACC, having all of those sports that they play. Like, it's a way of life, and these schools have been together for hundreds of years. Like,
mm-hmm.
What would Wake Forest do if North Carolina just walked out the door and there's no compensation? What would Duke do? I know they have a relationship with North Carolina, but they have to act in accordance with NC State, so they may not be able to take care of Duke as well. So you have that situation going also. So that's just kind of my thoughts. It seems like they may be getting ready to make their move, and if they choose either option, whether it's using private equity to negotiate a settlement or trying to dissolve the conference. That just strengthens Florida State's and Clemson's position. Like, as long as these lawsuits are active, it's going to stable future, even if they come to this agreement, because that agreement is just going to lock them up to 2036. We're assuming.
Yeah.
So that's what the original agreement is. So
yeah.
them being tied up for 11 more years doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah. All right, Replica, I'm going to let you go. You're breaking up just a little.
I don't want to keep you long, but thanks for taking my call.
Yep, you got it. Appreciate it. Great call, my man. Excellent. Excellent. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, smash the like button if you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. I do appreciate it. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut it off here at about an hour and 56 minutes. I would love to go longer, but I got some stuff coming to the house. Some stuff. So I do appreciate you all joining us. Again, stake in the ground by August 1st of this year. Same thing we said in December 26, 2022, that Florida State was going to put a stake in the ground before, or in the first quarter 2024. It happened 9 days prior. Same thing. Well, it's not going to be the same story, but it's the same. We got a date by August 1st. So we are going to follow this story along with everything with private equity and college football across the country. We're going to be doing our way too early top 25 later this week. And if you are interested, go to the YouTube channel or go to the link, the description box below the video. Go to the link, become a member, because we are going to be putting in some more nuggets of information in relation to what is going on in the ACC. Expect a renewal contract. Expect the gore to continue on. I do not expect any fireworks around February 1st. The fireworks are going to happen later in the year. So buckle up, brace for impact, keep your head on a swivel, and until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.